What's going on, my trainer club? As we are wrapping up 2018, putting it in the books, I wanted to bring an awesome video to you guys because there is still the best to come from Gen 4. So I am going to break down what my top 5 Gen 4 most anticipated Pokemon, and plus I'm going to throw a bonus one in there. So welcome to the trainer club, guys. Here we go. Gen 4, we've seen a little bit of a preview of Gen 4 in 2018, but we have not even breached the amount of power that is going to be coming into Gen 4 in the upcoming months. Hopefully sooner than later, because these guys are dominant. It is literally going to shake up the entire attacking pool. One, because all of the guys that I'm going to mention are in the top 30 for the attack in the entire game, and then half of them are in the top 10 for the attack in the game. And plus, we have some really unique combinations, and I know a lot of you guys out there are very dedicated Pokemon fans, so you already know about these guys, but I want to bring light as far as the Pokemon Go players that may not have as much experience or that are interested to see what the projected movesets are, what the projected stats are, and where the max CP sits for these guys. So let's get down to it. Starting with my number 5 is going to be Mamoswine, and I've talked a little bit about Mamoswine before, but I want to start with Mamoswine because number 1, he's an ice attacker, and I absolutely love ice attackers. He is going to be the top tier ice attacker in the game, so let's check out some of his stats. So Mamoswine is coming in projected base stats with a base HP of 220, base attack of 247, and base defense of 157. For a total max CP is 3289. I'm not sure if that one's gonna hold up because that is extremely high for this guy. That's pseudo legendary type. I'm not really so sure that they want to consider him a pseudo legendary because I know the games didn't, but this dude is really stepping the game up for the ice attackers. Some of the projected fast moves that he's gonna get are Powder Snow, Ice Shard, Mud Slap, Mud Shot, Peck, and Bite. And then the charge move projections are Blizzard, Ice Beam, Avalanche, Icy Wind, Earthquake, Bulldoze. And then here are some of the not so anticipated ones: Ancient Power, Hyper Beam, Rock Tomb, Stone Edge, Rock Slide, Body Slam, and Iron Head. So this dude is really projected to potentially get a lot of really good moves. If he gets that Ice Beam, I think it's going to be super awesome for him. So the best projected place that we could get for Mamoswine as far as an ice type is going to be Powder Snow and Avalanche. He is going to absolutely crush the competition with this moveset. He is projected to be at a DPS of 15.85 and then a total damage output of 444. So I know this dude is a little bit higher of a Pokemon, but with that ice ground combination, depending on where he sits with his stamina when we're at a lower tier, he may be a pretty good viable option for the Great League, but definitely for the Ultra and the Master League. And then Weavile, Jinx, and Glaceon are coming in. Glaceon's another Pokemon from Gen 4 that we haven't seen yet, but they do not really compare to the Mamoswine. The Mamoswine is in a class of its own. So his attack is going to be at 247, which puts him at rank number 29. And these are all projected. This is what we think is going to happen. Big credit to Game Press for coming through with all these stats. I really like what they did breaking down this list. And the defense is 146, and the stamina is 242, ranked at 22nd. So for Great League, Ultra League, Master League type PvP, the stamina, in my opinion, is really, really effective. It's going to, one, put you at a class to be able to withstand a lot of moves, unless you're off-typed. So if you're double damage weak to a Pokemon, or if you're single, that's not the point. The point is that he's got that E-type curve that puts him in a Raikou-type attacker that could make him an effective electric option if those guys start to come back. For his moveset, we're looking at Mud Slap and Powder Snow. And then we're also looking at projected Avalanche. I really hope he gets Avalanche. I think that move is super cool. Also, it could be Ice Beam, but we really haven't seen a super powerful Pokemon with Avalanche yet. 2 bars, 90 charge, and then we're going to get potentially Bulldoze. This is why I'm saying he could be a really good PvP option, because you're going to have 2 of his typed stab attacks that are going to be 2-bar specials, which make it easier and more viable to get more specials off. And then potentially he could get Stone Edge too, which would be a really cool combination, would help with some of his weaknesses. And then he's going to be vulnerable, so he's a little bit more vulnerable. Not the best vulnerability for PvP, but when he comes through in what he's strong against, he is going to be dominant. So fire, fighting, grass, steel, water are going to be his vulnerabilities. And then he's going to be strong against and resist electric and poison. So he's actually double resistant to electric. So that's why he would take a lot less damage. He'd be a great option to put in against any of those electric type Pokemon. And then on to my number 4. It's really hard to actually put these guys into perspective. I really just all consider them a number 1 most anticipated because they are all in a class of their own basically. The number 4 that I'm going with is Rampardos. This dude is going to bring the absolute heat for a rock attacker. His projected stats: base HP of 194, base attack of 295, wow. Base defense of 114 for a total max CP of 3179. So all these guys are really high CP. I would be very surprised if they keep this. You know, most of the times we have these projected CPs and max CPs, and then they kind of get nerfed a little bit to bring them down to make it a little bit more fair. I hope that it's not the case, and we can see some other really powerful attackers in the game to really get up there with the current one. So his move sets that he could potentially get: Smackdown, Takedown, Zen Headbutt, Dragon Tail, Iron Tail, and Mud Slap. So those are pretty good fast moves. And then the charge move pool for him is going to be Ancient Power, Stone Edge, Rock Tomb, Rock Slide. And then we have a ton of other ones: Ice Beam, Blizzard, Hyper Beam, Thunderbolt, Thunder, Earthquake, Brick Break, Flamethrower, Fire Blast, Focus Blast, Bulldoze. And if we're looking at him as far as a projected attacker, his total damage output is not quite as strong, but his absolute dominant when it comes to his DPS. His DPS is 18.73 in comparison to a Rayquaza with a Dragon Tail Outrage at 18.61, who is one of the top attackers. So this dude is making paved headway right now. And he's got what they consider an E-shaped curve to his stats, where we have the boosted attack, lower defense, here we got with the E, and then we have the boosted stamina. So we have the attack, we have the defense, and then we have the stamina coming through. And that really sets these guys apart as really good attackers because they can take a lot of damage and they can deal a lot of damage at the same time. So he's higher than Rayquaza at 284 in attack, and he's just 5 points short of Mewtwo in attack. This dude is so beastly. And his attack is weighing in at 295, like we said, which puts him at rank number 4. A defense of 109, and then a stamina at 219, which ranks him at 56. So that E-shape, like I told you, is really what we're looking at. And so the actual projected moveset that we're gonna get here: Zen Headbutt, Smackdown. So Smackdown is getting him that stab. Zen Headbutt, I just really like that move. I think it's super powerful. That old Executor with the Zen Headbutt really puts a powerful punch in there. And then he can get Rock Slide, he can get Outrage, and then Flamethrower. And I really also like these guys if you're going to be using him in PvP in the Master League, because they are all 2-bar specials. I absolutely love 2-bar specials, especially for PvP, and when those specials really deliver a lot of damage, that's where we're going to be at. So it would also be advantaged if he could get Stone Edge, even though it's a 1-bar special. But for fighting legendaries and raid battles, that's really a good moveset. Even though for me, I'm really favoring those 2-bar specials for PvP and for legendaries, because you can get more off in incremental periods rather than having to wait for a full bar charge up, which you can die out when you only get 1 instead of getting 3 little ones. And so he's going to be vulnerable to fighting, grass, ground, steel, and water. And he's going to be resistant to fire, flying, normal, and poison. So he is a little bit weak, a little bit more displaced as far as his weakness goes compared to his resistances goes. But when he gets in there, he is packing a powerful punch, and he is going to put a lot of damage out there. So that is why he's weighing in at my number 4. And getting into the pseudo legendaries, we have coming in at number 3, we have Garchomp. Garchomp is a monster Pokemon. Cannot wait to have this Dragon Ground combination coming into Pokemon Go. So his stats look something like base HP 216, base attack 261. All these guys have such high attacks. Base defense 198 for a max total projected CP of 3823. So we'll see if that holds up. I'm very curious to see if it does. But this dude is going to be bringing the heat with some fast move potentials of Dragon Breath, Dragon Tail, Mud Shot, Mud Slap as the primaries. Secondaries: Fire Fang, Takedown, Shadow Claw, Poison Jab, Iron Tail, and Metal Claw. And then for the charge move potentials, he is going to be able to get primarily Dragon Claw, Outrage, Twister, Draco Meteor, Dragon Pulse, Earthquake, Dig, and Bulldoze. And then secondarily, Crunch, Hyper Beam, Brick Break, Flamethrower, Fire Blast, Rock Tomb, Aerial Ace, Stone Edge, Rock Slide, Surf, Body Slam, and Iron Head. So he has a lot of move potentials to pull from a pool. But this dude is somebody to look forward to. Yes, we need to power up another Dragon Pokemon because this is the guy to do it. So weighing in for Dragon, he's about 4th down on the list as far as DPS goes, but for total damage output, he is killing it at a 584. He is above all of the other Pokemon in its class. And then for ground, he is coming in at 2nd, in between Groudon and Rhyperior. So Garchomp is number 2 behind Groudon, that Mudshot Earthquake, for DPS of 12.15. But then his total damage output is going to be 914 when Groudon's is only 718. So this is absolutely insane right now. Maybe a really good guy to consider using. And the one thing we really want to note right here is that he has about 30% more bulk than Rayquaza. So putting him with Dragon Tail Outrage is going to make him a dominant Pokemon. Because of the bulkiness, you're going to be able to have him in a little bit longer. I'm telling you, the bulk of the Pokemon, I think we all know this and have seen, that when you have more bulk in your Pokemon, you're going to be able to survive longer, get off more specials to put out more total damage output. He also has 27% increase in total damage output than the leading ground Pokemon, Groudon. PS times the total damage output is actually going to surpass Mewtwo's. This dude is an absolute beast, which is why he's weighing in at number 3. So his attack at 261 ranks him at 19, his defense at 78 out of 193, and then his stamina 239. Most of these guys have that typical E-shaped curve, which really makes them really good supreme attackers. So the Dragon Tail, Mudshot are the combinations that he could get. Depending on what you're doing, you could have one of these two. And then Outrage is really projected, Earthquake, and Fire Blast. If he got something like Mud Bomb, he would be so dominant in PvP. It would be an absolute blast to use this guy with Outrage and Mud Bomb in that circumstance. The one thing that this will make him is double weak to ice. So he is going to be very weak to ice. Fairy, he's got a single weakness, and then Dragon, he's got a single weakness, and he's resistant, double resistant to electric. So here's another guy that's going to be very powerful against electric alongside a Mamoswine. So we have some very powerful electric counters coming out. You put him in against an electric guy, if you're doing PvP, he is going to be able to take like almost no damage because he's at about 24% resistance compared to other Pokemon. And then Fire, Poison, and Rock, he is going to be resistant to as well.